Hello and welcome to the Fishing Guide Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Wiegmann. And in the house, we got Payton Usrey's in the house, and he's going to talk about some interesting stuff that's been developing and something that happened. And we talked about a year ago on our podcast show, and we're going to retouch on that and see how things have progressed, and maybe if he has some more insight on if you happen to have a conflict with someone on the water. So, Payton, let's start it. Let's start on what happened. It was in the summer of 2021, I believe, or in the fall.
Yeah, the fall, October. Yeah, right when the water started cooling down.
Right.
I went right back to fishing boat docks.
There, fishing boat docks on Beaver Lake. Yeah. Tell us how that's pretty good fishing, though, that time of year, right?
Oh, man,
for crappie.
As soon as the water cools back down, it's that's what I go to.
Yeah.
So
tell us a little bit in case they don't know about it. You had a little conflict with the boat owner.
Yeah, the first day I was up in around Montenay.
Right.
And I was pulled up to a dock, and they were just stacked. I was just catching one after another, and here comes the guy down the hill in the golf cart. He got all mad. Get away from my dog. He's my fish, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I kind of got into it with him a little bit and told him that I have the right to fish here and this and that. And then I just finally decided left there and went down here to War Eagle side and pulled up to a dock, and it was loaded too, and we was catching them left and right. And that's when that old man come down, and it got pretty heated from there.
Got pretty heated.
Told me I had the whole lake to fish. Why do I have to fish right here? And I'm like, because I just got told up there I can't fish there too. So, so I couldn't get away from him that day. I have the worst luck. Yeah, drama finds me everywhere in life.
It doesn't help that you got a great big boat.
Yeah.
And it's kind of obvious, like who you are. But tell us a little bit about, you've probably done some studying. You probably learned a lot about that situation. That's the whole point of us coming back and doing it is we want to visit about what you should do if you're in that situation and how you should handle it. And this kind of gives us the look. Hindsight's 2020, right. So we're going to take that hindsight and use that.
I'll save people a bunch of research since I started dock shooting probably about 2007. And I started doing research then, because I was seeing people getting on other people's docks and stuff and fishing. I'm like, I wonder if you can do that or not.
Right.
So I did all the research. I called the Corps and I called the sheriff's office, and they're like, no, that's trespassing. You can fish anywhere around them. You can shoot under them. You can even touch them with your boat. You just cannot step foot on them.
Okay.
That docks are on public water. The fish under them are for the public. The people that own the docks do not own the water or the fish or anything underneath it. So, it's fair game. And
that's on Corps of Engineer Lake. So
yes.
They're in your reservoir might be different, but you should probably check local regulations. Check. But we're talking about like Corps lakes, and they're probably about all the same in general. So.
Yeah, mostly. I think there's only a few lakes around the country that has different rules, but most of the time, if it's public water, it's fair game.
And in general, when you're shooting docks for crappie, you're trying to stay a little bit away from them, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't want to bump them or wash them with the prop or nothing like that. I don't want to really know I'm there until I get about 4 or 5 out.
Right.
And then they get onto you a little bit, but if people come down and you have to deal with them, I just stayed off the obvious that who you are, and I'm in the right to fish here. I'm just dock shooting. I'm not trying to hurt nothing.
And kind of what's been the feedback? Like, since it's been a while, you've probably got some feedback from people.
I think since it kind of went viral around here, everybody kind of knows who I am. So I haven't been messed with since. So I've had dock owners come down there like, oh, I know you.
Right.
So they're just like, have a good day, and I'm like, I try to be respectful. I don't get on their dock. If you accidentally hook something, hopefully it falls off in the water, but it's going to happen. If you're shooting docks, you're going to hook on a chain or one of those airlines, but with a little low video hook, it don't hurt them. It'll just snap off and then fall down in the water.
Right.
So that's just part of it. But other than that, just try to be nice, and until it's time not to be nice, then if they want to call law, you just tell them to call them. I'll wait.
Right.
So then they'll get an education. That's what this world is about now. Is now these educations. So So I mean, that's just how it is. You just get educated, and then hopefully you won't have a problem with that person anymore.
And the feedback you've gotten.
I had positive and a lot of negative from that whole thing.
Right.
A lot of people said I was just picking on an old man, and it seemed like after that, more videos came out. I started seeing more, even with the professional bass anglers. They were having problems, and they handled it till it was nice until it was time not to be nice.
Right.
So, but yeah, you get positive. I got positive and negative feedback from it, but more positive.
Let's talk a little bit about shooting docks. Can you do it in the wintertime? We're talking about it. It's snowing in the background here.
Right now is the best time to be out there.
Water temp's 42 degrees.
Yeah, they'll be stacked underneath them. And that's why, people think that summertime is the best time to shoot docks, but not on our lake, because that's when everybody's on their docks. The ski boats are running, making all that noise, and them fish they go deep and they're not there.
Right.
But the wintertime, it's quiet. It's got shade, bait fish. So they stack up on them. I'm talking 5 to probably 2,000 if you shine your scope underneath it.
Right.
It just lights up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
So
let's talk a little bit about presentation, how you're going to catch those fish on docks and shooting docks. How are you getting your boat in the right spot to do it? What's the right spot to shoot a dock?
I try to position my boat outside of the wind where it's not pushing me into it. Because obviously, if you got a nice boat, you don't want it all scratched up and banged up.
Right.
But I try to find those fish in the darkest spot, and I target them with a 16th ounce jig head and a baby shad bait. So,
yeah, a big long rod or a short rod. What are you using?
B&M Sharpshooter 6.
Okay,
it's my favorite pole to use. It's got backbone, and I can shoot 30 feet with it, no problem.
Wow.
And I'll shoot it in there, and I'll set my barrel real quick, because a lot of times in the wintertime, them fish are shallow. So as soon as it hits the water, one of them crappie will grab it. It's just a reaction bite, and they'll fight over it. And then if I stop getting bites that way, I'll go a little slower, or I'll let it sink a little more, and then I'll retrieve a little faster each time, just to try to change it up. And usually you can get 4 to 5 off a dock, and then they're on to you.
Right.
And then you can switch colors a couple times, pick up a few more. But the way that I fish is I go. I catch a few that I can, then I'm gone. Right. I'll go to the next one. So the time you're done fishing, 20 or 30 docks, you're obviously already done by then with the limit, or you can go back and fish them all again and pick up what you need.
Right.
So
they get kind of smart.
Yeah. I think black crappie are a lot smarter than white crappie on this lake.
Right.
So it sure seems to be that way.
And then there'll be a period of time when you're bringing it back, kind of look like a spinnerbait bite, kind of like if you're a bass fisher, like a spinnerbait bite where they come up and smack it.
Yep.
Is that the greatest bite?
Oh, it's fun.
Maybe.
Especially if it's a big one.
Right.
They thump it and you set that hook and you're like, oh, it's pulling back. So, you catch a lot of big black crappie that way, and walleye. So,
walleye?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When a walleye gets on, you're just like feeding it line, please stay on. Because you see that golden tail come up, you're like, oh, boy.
So when people are looking at their live scope and they're seeing the fish that are on the brush that's underneath the dock, and they're all stacked up, but then they stack up, but they don't go to the top. Let's say they're 5 foot down, but they're all over. Like you can see, and some of them are big. The echoes are pretty big.
Yep.
How are you reaching those? Do you try to use a long pole ever, or do you always shoot docks?
I don't use a long pole ever, because if I stick it in there, I always break the tips off or something. I'll smack the top of the dock, so I quit doing that. If they're also shallow in the water column at that depth, I'll use a slip bobber, a fill slip bobber, on an old pencil sharpener with a 5-foot pole, and I'll just back cast it in there between the dock and one of the, say, boat floats.
Right.
And once it gets back there, it'll that jig will drop to a certain depth, and I just work it slowly through there, and that'll help me get a lot of those bigger bites. They'll come up, and the old bobber just will slowly pull down. That's exciting when it does that. So that's another way to catch them. But other than that, mostly I shoot them.
Right.
I just get it back there where they're at and retrieve it several different ways.
Are you using monofilament on that?
I use
sharpshooter.
Yep, I use Berkeley low vis green 6-pound test.
So when people go with you, you supply the rods then?
Everything.
Okay.
We use a lot of jigs if we dock shoot too.
Use a lot.
Don't use a cheap jig head. They got several makers that make them, but you'll go through. If you fish like I do, you might go through 50 or 100 a day.
Right.
Because them fish are going to be where you can't hardly get to them, but you've got to get to them. So, But usually in late winter and stuff, they'll come out a little bit. So sometimes it's easier to get to them. But
are they less likely to be in the brush and lay downs that are next to the dock too
they can be,
as you
but
go?
Since live scope, I have also figured out that them fish will all of a sudden just leave in a school. They'll make a big circle, and once they leave in the school, I can go chase them out in the open, and then they'll make a big circle, and they'll come right back to their dock, and I'll catch another one, and they'll take off again. Make a big old circle, and I'll catch them as they're swimming out, and then sometimes they'll go over to that stick up or whatever that's laying there, and they'll stop for a minute.
Right.
You can throw in there a few times, but it's fun when they do that. It's fun when they keep coming back.
Because that's kind of like a rabbit.
Yeah.
If you ever went rabbit hunting,
right.
they go in a circle. So if you have one person waits for them,
yeah.
they just come right back.
And, dock shooting's getting better again because everybody has went to chasing roamers with live scope. They're out fishing brush piles. So the dock crappie have been left alone for like 2 years.
Right.
And the numbers have just bumped. They've bumped back up.
Right.
And it's, like I said, you pull up to a dock and there's 200 or 300 underneath it sometimes.
How much?
It doesn't have to have structure either. They could just be in the shade or underneath certain floats. The cables that come down to anchor them,
right,
stack up all the way up them.
So, I've been catching some off the cables.
Yeah,
that's pretty fun.
Yeah,
but they seem to be big ones that sit on those cables for some reason.
It seems like in the wintertime, them bigger black crappie come up. They come up and they stack up on docks.
Yeah. How much longer is that going to last? How are we going to get until the end of February?
No, it'll be good all the way till April. Because a lot of them fish will stage on that dock and they'll spawn behind it. In our black crappie, they'll spawn at 55. So I can find them behind the docks at 55 degrees.
We better get a little more water. There won't be much behind the dock. Behind the dock, when we're 8 foot below flood conservation pool, and so that doesn't. It means it's low, but it's not the lowest it's ever been. So I guess it's not any panic.
It'll be good pea gravel for them. That's all they'll have.
That's all. So what else can you tell us a little bit about crappie fishing or something that's going on? I know that they're going to do some stuff that you helped work on or get started was the courtesy dock and a fish cleaning station.
Yeah, stuff I've almost begged and pleaded for a while, I
right.
would say, or annoyed them
right
to the point they had to listen. Yeah, because we needed a dock over here at the 412 ramp.
Right.
Sure, because they brought all the rock in to help everything get from wash, and they fixed the parking lot. But it's hard to launch there. I mean, we've tore boats up, and sprained ankles and broke legs, and
it just goes from big rock to mud.
Like
there's no pea gravel.
Yeah.
Really to get up and down on there. So
yeah, when you get stuck in the mud, you're like, okay, it's time. It's time for something.
Yeah, that ramp is actually the Arkansas Game and Fish ramp.
Yes.
That's over there. So that they're the ones that actually own or maybe co-own the property with the Corps of Engineers, and so it's a little bit different than some of the other ramps that are on the lake that are not controlled by the Corps of Engineers, or the Corps of Engineers didn't like they do the courtesy docks there. So
right.
And so a courtesy dock there will be good.
It'll be amazing.
That'll help.
Yes. I can't wait.
They're going to have to make a little bit bigger parking lot.
They need to. All
they
the
need
parking
to right
lots
now.
need to be bigger, but I don't know what's going to happen. But, that dock's it's going to be a game changer for sure.
Right.
Helping us load and unload faster, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's coming. I'm very thankful.
And then fish cleaning stations, which is important because and it's always a question, I'm sure you've already asked the Game and Fish, can you clean your fish and throw them in the lake? Your cleaned fish.
You'll get that. You get 2 or 3 stories, depends on who you ask. So, I mean, I know a lot of guys, they throw their stuff at the end of the dock, but they want you to put it in bags and put it in the trash. I mean, that's what I've heard, but I think it's good for the lake with the fish go back in, honestly.
Right.
My opinion.
Crawdads, everything, minnows have something to eat.
Well, you think of salmon in Alaska, that all they talk about is how the dead salmon help,
right,
fertilize the ecosystem. I mean, I think that's the same here, I think they need to go back and do their thing. But The cleaning station is going to be at Hickory Creek.
Right.
The Corps ramp. The Corps approved it. They're going to put it in a grinder system.
Oh, good.
It'll be one of the really nice cleaning stations. But it'll grind into a septic tank.
Oh, wow.
It'll have its own septic tank.
Really?
And that's where the ground up fish will decompose.
Uh-huh.
So.
Well, that's good. Will it have a cover to it or not?
It's supposed to be lit with water, lights, lit lights, and
right.
The grinder system, and then Teflon tables all the way around it.
Wow.
So, concrete pad.
That's pretty nice.
And the Corps said they'd maintain it for us. So, that's a huge plus.
Right.
So.
Well, that's good.
The main thing is keeping people from throwing pop cans down it just to hear it grind them up.
Right.
That's always been an issue, is what John Stein told me.
Oh, okay.
People throw trash in it.
Yeah, we don't want people to.
No. I told him if I got somebody mistreating it, I'm going to tell them about it. Worked hard for this.
That's right. And then maybe a little bit later on, they can get one down there at 412.
Yeah.
And that would be nice. That'd be probably the two biggest places where people crappie fish on the lake.
Yes.
I'd say the majority of people crappie fish down in River Arms or in the middle part of the lake, Montanay and down probably is.
Yeah, I think if they extended that parking lot, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and put one there.
Yeah.
For sure. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it'd be a good place for it.
So there you go.
Just be cleaner instead of everybody doing it on the back of their truck beds, like we've been having to do for so long. So it's just, one little area to go and socialize and clean it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
That takes us to Tackle Time. Tackle Time sponsored by PICO Lures. PICO Lures has a complete line of hard and soft baits. If you're going to chase after those walleyes, PICO Lures got everything you need to go catch them. They got fishing line too, braid, mono. So check them out at picolures.com. Payton, if they want to find out more, go out on a guide trip with you. Maybe shoot some docks.
Yeah, that's a good way to learn. I'll teach you the ins and outs.
Where would they get hold of you?
Payton Usrey Fishing.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook. So.
All right. Check them out there. And we appreciate you being on the show. Like how we always like to end the show. Make sure you keep your hook sharp. Lures in the water.